For me, it says stream to my audience. So let
Okay,
me
cool.
see here.
Yeah, I did toggle that. Hey everyone, welcome to
Hello.
Steadyworth's first ever live with the wonderful Katiana. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly.
Yes.
Awesome. I'll let you do logistics to get it streaming to your group as well.
Hmm.
I'm Laura. This is my husband, Gabe, and we are going to talk today about demystifying trading, which I'm really excited about because I know very little. And the prep conversation we had for this was so interesting to me as a beginner and someone who doesn't have a lot of experience. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you and just have a whole lot of fun
Yes.
talking about this topic. So I will let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into financial education, how you got into investing and teaching it to the masses.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. All right. My name is Katiana Carre, or Katiana Carey, if you want to say it in English. I am a certified money coach. How did I get into this world? It's a long story, but I'll make it short. I taught myself how to become a day trader. This was back in, I think it was around 2013 or
Wow.
2014, around there. And this was, YouTube was there, but it wasn't the YouTube we know now,
Right.
right? That was 10 years ago, a decade ago. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was at the time I was a server at the Cheesecake Factory, and I was on my car on my way to work, and I heard I don't know if you ever heard that commercial where there's like, do you want to learn how to flip houses using other people's money? And I was like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
yes. So I one thing led to another. I ended up at a seminar, and it was all real estate, and I just was like, this is not for me. So apparently my mom and her husband at the time were going through the same journey, but they went through the stock market journey. And so my mom was like, hey, I bought this stock market class, and I know you're into numbers and stuff. I don't want to go. Do you want to go? And so I was like, okay, sure. So I ended up going, and I fell in love. I just fell in love with the potential, because you could
Cool.
start with very little money and really grow your wealth. And so, and it seemed easy at the time, right? It was like, oh, just read the charts, you get in here, you get out here, and you make thousands of dollars, and you don't have to go to work, you don't have to work for anybody. They sold me the dream.
Yeah.
So of course, I took the class, made a lot of money, and I started with $2,000, grew it to almost 20K within a few months.
Oh, wow.
And then I lost all of it. And I was like, oh my God, I just lost. I've never had 20K. How do I just lost it. And so I was like, well, at least I started with 2K. Let me do it again. And so it was this feast and famine for good through 2-3 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized, I was like, Kat, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you need to get some help. And instead of getting like coaching on trading or something, I went and got my master's in finance, thinking that was going to solve it. So that's how I ended up in this whole industry, was, teaching myself how to trade, not making a lot of money, losing it, and then deciding to go to school to get my life together. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I don't want to, not to give a free advertisement for the place that you went to, but I got to ask. So, what was the company that was this class through? And I'm just curious to know, was it like a multiple day class, or how much education did they give? And like what city was it in, or was it online, or like just curious to know.
Yes, this was before, way before COVID, obviously, and this was way before the internet became like the go-to place for education, really.
Right.
And so people would always have those big seminars. I think it was with Rich Dad Poor Dad, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, like so is
That
it Robert
whole
Kiyosaki?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. My mom, because I got one, and I can't remember the name of the company. It was all real estate, and then my mom got the Rich Dad Poor Dad. which came with real estate and stock market.
Okay.
And so she didn't want to go to the stock market one. She was
Interesting.
like, hey, do you want to use my pass? And it was 3 days. It was 3 days.
Cool.
And then they try to upsell me to like a $10,000 program. At the time, I was a server. I couldn't afford $10,000 for a program.
I
So
would
I
want
just
to
taught
10K right now.
myself.
Yeah, so I get it. Was it
Yeah.
was it here in Florida, or where were you at?
It was in Florida. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you went and got your master's in coaching or in money finance, personal finance. And then you said this when we spoke earlier, which I thought was awesome. You kind of hit the ground running in 2020 with your education, and things sort of took off from there. And that's when you kind of switched from, is that the same time you switched from day trading to swing trading?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is, after I got my master's in finance, and Gabe, you can attest to this, in when you go and get your licenses, like you're a CFP, right? They teach you safety, protect the client's money, right? And when I was teaching myself day trading, I wasn't protecting anybody's money, not even my own, right? And so I went from like this crazy roller coaster type of investing to this very corporate, because most of the people in the masters in finance were corporate. Where people in corporate finance, people who are working at wealth management firms, banking, and so on and so forth. So it's very highly regulated. So we were taught about, regulations, money laundering, safety, fiduciary responsibility for the client. And so it really tamed me, all right? Because I had this crazy little beast inside of me, like, yeah, I'm going to be rich, and then,
that's so awesome.
Right. And the masters just kind of slapped me into reality, like, no, calm down. Like, we're supposed to go slow. So because of that, after masters in finance, I actually stopped trading altogether, right? And I was against trading for a little bit. So I went into long-term investing. I was like, well, this is what I was taught, that, that's why I paid $60,000 for this degree. I'm going to follow it to the T. And the same things that you teach your clients, Gabe, as a CFP, right? Safety, right? It's all about safety. We're doing bonds, we're doing annuities, we're actually buying the stock. We're not doing stock options. We're not leveraging money. We're not using margins. We're not doing any of that. And so what happened was, I started to do that, but then I realized I needed it to go faster, right? That little beast was still kind of inside of me. And I knew that in order for my investments to grow faster, I needed to put more into them. And so I was like, all right, I'm a server at the Cheesecake Factory. I'm just starting out my career in finance. What can I do to make more money? Oh, let's go back to trading, because you know how to make money from there. But now you know what to do with it. You know how not to lose it. And so that naturally kind of molded me into a swing trader, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a mindset transformation that happened in you as well during this process, which is something that you're really passionate about. And I know you're about to say something, but I just want to squeeze that in.
I just feel like, since we've touched a little bit on day trading and swing trading, and I just want to say, for the record, for anybody, I haven't spent time trading at all, so I don't know much of. I mean, I get it, but I don't. But I'm not an expert trader here, or like I said, I haven't done it all. But I would like for you to just tell the audience, what is the difference between day trading and swing trading? Just so for somebody who's listening, who just thinks that maybe trading is all the same thing, that there are different ways of doing it. And so, can you go ahead and touch on that?
Right. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that, Gabe. So typically, this is what I tell my clients. When you're investing, there's two major types of investing. You have long-term and you have short-term, right? And so I always use a tangible asset to be able to explain this, and I use real estate. So in long-term investing, so buying and holding is as if you buy a house and you hold it. Right? You don't have to do much with the house. I mean, you could clean it up and get a new kitchen and all that. But if you literally just hold on to the house, eventually the equity, if you're in a good neighborhood, obviously, right? The equity is just going to go up without you having to do much with it, right? And then, and eventually you can always sell it for a profit. So that is long-term investing. So it's the same thing with stocks. You're buying the stock and you're holding on to it. And you're holding on to it until like retirement and as long as possible, right? versus trading, which is more of short-term investing, which is similar to flipping a house, right? So you're buying the ugliest house on the block, you're fixing it and you're flipping it. And there's a lot of energy that goes into this. You need contractors, you need a realtor, you need a blah, you need blah, 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 right? But it's all happening pretty fast. And when you sell it in the short term, you create cash flow. And so I tell my clients that investing is for legacy building, wealth building, right? Increasing your net worth, while trading is to create cash flow. All right. So
I like the differentiator that I like how you set that up. Beautiful.
Right. Because cash flow, because with the trading, it's even taxed differently, right? It's taxed as income. So it is to create income. And so now when we get into trading, now we understand trading. Now, what's the difference between day trading and swing trading? The difference is 24 hours. Okay. So a day trade is getting in and out of a trade within 24 hours. That is a day trade. If you stay in, if you get in and you get out tomorrow, it is no longer a day trade. It is now a swing trade. Now, typically, right, a swing trade, like that's just like the textbook definition. But in real life, you're holding on for more than a day or two, right? You're holding on for a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a year or two. So basically, instead of buying, and this is not investment advice, let's say you buy Apple at $100. Instead of holding on until you retire, you decide I'm going to sell Apple at 200. Well, you created a profit, right? And so how long did it take for it to go from 100 to 200? Well, that depends. It's not going to take 20 years, okay? Although it could, right? But it's also not going to happen in a day either, right? And so it might take a few weeks, it might take a few months, or it might take a year or two. Does that clear it up?
It does. It does. And this is where you were explaining to me like the differences between like how much time and the mindset that's associated with this particular type of trading, because I can easily see how someone's emotions can get wrapped into this. And can you just explain a little bit about what the process looks like when again, education only, when you buy something at 100 and you're waiting for it to go to 200, like what does that look like, and what's kind of the experience as you watch it move through the market and through time?
Yeah, and this is why I don't like day trading, right? Because day trading, you have to babysit your trades. You have to be ready for everything. You have to manage your trades, and so you're literally glued in front of a screen, and your heart is beating, and it's all emotional. And we know when we make decisions out of emotion, it's rarely the right decision, right? And so rarely. And so with that, when you're doing day trading, that's where like the emotional aspects come in. But here's the thing. Here's how I'm able to kind of tame this for me and also for my clients. The goal is always long-term growing your net worth, right? Long-term legacy. I'm doing this trading to be able to put more money into my long term, right? When we start with that mindset, there's no rush. Right. What happens is beginner traders who fall into the trap of listening to the internet, thinking that they're going to turn $500 into $1 million, right? They want it to happen. They want it to happen fast. They want it to happen overnight, or they want it to happen in 90 days, or they want it to happen, every time I post something about my clients, the first question I get is, how long did it take? Everybody's always in a rush, right? And that is a recipe for disaster when you're trading, because the market goes up and down, up and down. And if you're in a rush and the market is down, that's when we start doing desperate things, right? We start doing things that make no sense, because we're like, oh my God, I got to pay this bill. My bill is due, and this thing is still down, or it's still against me. Let me do this instead. And then it can get really, really chaotic when you're giving your portfolio that much pressure. So the first thing is the mindset part is understanding that the goal of this has always been long-term, right? And number two, don't be in a rush. Be patient. I say patience pays you, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'd almost forgotten. Actually, I have done a little bit of swing trading, and I guess how like you can conveniently forget stories because they aren't your favorite stories to tell, and so I actually do have a couple swing trading stories, but I've conveniently forgot these now. So like one, and it was with the same stock both times. It was with United Airlines. So at one point, like United Airlines, I don't remember the exact story, but this was like 2019, 18, around that time. They had dragged somebody off one of their planes, or, they did something that they shouldn't do, and the stock went down. So I picked up some shares, and it only it swung maybe about like $10. So it was like, say it was in the 50s. And I had been looking at their stock a lot, and so it went down a little bit to the 50s from the 60s. Then it went back up to like maybe $67. So I sold and made like maybe $10 a share. It wasn't a lot of shares or anything like that. But where I made a mistake, because I thought I was getting into it. Now, at the beginning of 2020, nobody quite understood what COVID was, and I was still checking out the United stock because I was waiting for one of those things to happen again. And right when their stock hit right about $49, which is the lowest I've ever seen it, and because of this whole COVID scare, and I didn't know what was going to happen with COVID, I said, I'm gonna go ahead and I think I went in, I bought and I'm buying shares, I'm not buying options. Yeah. So I think I bought like maybe, I don't know, it was like, maybe 20 shares, like $1,000 worth or something like that. And if anybody remember, if they look at United shares in the summer of 2020, those shares went from $49 to like $23 to like $18. And so then I was like, this is a good lesson, because it's like, here you are, you just got to hold that thing. And so, but I remember at one point I was like, they're at $23. I say, I'm just going to go in again. So I bought another 6 shares at that, because I said, if they rebound, back up to the 50. And so, I ended up holding those shares all the way. I want to say when I sold them, it was November 22. So I held them for quite a while. And when I sold them, I took a total of between my gain and my loss, the thing, it was maybe about a $13 total loss. But so I made all the money back with the gain from the other ones. And I could have held on to them longer, but then I was like, you know what? Airlines are struggling. Warren Buffett has exited the airlines. I just want this money back because I want to go do something else with it. And I'm like, it's been 2 years. And I'm fine to be done with the $6, with the $13 that I'm down, and just take my chunk. I have my chunk of my investment. I have 99.8% back. And I don't know if that's the exact thing. I'm like, and just be done with this. Of course, after I sold, maybe 2 months later, United went to like 52. And if I had held another 2 months, I could have, got more back. But I was just like, I'm done. And no, I haven't bought any more of their stock since. But quick swing trading story to throw in there.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. That's an amazing story. And here's the thing. Here's another thing with swing trading, right? I tell my clients, you only want to use money that you can afford to not see for a couple of years.
Yes, that's the key. That is the key.
That's the key.
Right. Yeah. Because if I had to pay my bills with that, I would have been sick.
Yes. Yeah. Right. You could see the emotion, how that could. Yeah, exactly. So that's what Laura was talking about earlier with the emotion.
Yeah.
So
and felt it. I'm often pulled more into the hype of social media, and I always have to check myself, and I'll like send stuff to Gabe, because at one point I was like, should we be like, this was a couple years ago. I was like, I'm following these traders, and they're saying, they made all this money and now they're going to shop or go out to eat or something. Like, should we get into this? And I remember you telling me, like, professional traders have days actually where they lose money, but they just don't talk about it. Yeah. And so I feel like I want to talk a little bit about like the realities of trading, because I don't feel like I hear that enough. And it sounds great here, like, okay, I'll make a little bit of cash flow, I'll do this, I'll do that. But what are some of the realities of being a trader or using that as a way to cash flow?
I will tell you this, and I don't want to take this to a dark place, but these are facts. If Wall Street has some of the highest suicide rates
because of that reason.
Yeah, because there's losses are part of the game, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're not controlling your losses, that's when you get into that emotional baggage that can turn real dark. Okay, that's enough darkness. But I just wanted to put it out there to show that even the big boys that people idolize Wall Street, and we were talking about that backstage, how the movies, you said it, Gabe, how the movies really romanticized trading and gave it this gambling, like lottery type of feel to
glamorous.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're driving the Lambo and you're on private jet and you're on company parties, and that's all part of it, but nobody talks about the losses that happen. And
Yeah.
so when we are trading, one thing I tell my students is losses are going to happen. Why? Because the number one rule in trading is you cannot predict the market.
Right.
Okay. If you look at a chart, right, and you'll see red, you'll see green, or if you're looking at a black and white chart, it'll be black on down days and then white on up days, right? So what you're looking at is human emotions. You're looking at fear and greed.
Yeah.
Right. And also, too, you're looking at fear and greed and who is controlling the market. Us with our retail accounts with maybe a few 100,000, maybe a few million cannot compete with the trillions of dollars that the big institutions are trading with on a daily basis. So who's controlling the market? They are. So not only are you watching fear and greed, but you're also watching a battle between the big guys, the big banks. And so here's the thing about the nervous system. The nervous system doesn't know whether you're in a real war or whether you're inside your house watching a war on TV. It just knows that there's a war happening. Right. And so the minute you step into the stock market world, you are entering a battlefield. I tell my students that all the time. And if you don't know that, if you don't go in with that mindset, you're going to get eaten alive. Right. And so when you go in with that mindset, as soon as you're in a stressful situation, guess what happens? Your instincts pop up, right? Logic is out the window.
Avoid loss. Avoid loss.
Avoid loss, right. And so if it's been scientifically proven that when humans are in a stressful situation, the frontal lobe shuts off, which is part of the logic. So there's no logic involved. And the minute you're inside of the stock market and you're trading, that's what I mean, trading, your logic is off. So your instincts have to kick in, right? And so the realities of trading is we need to train our instincts. That is the number one thing. And people they want to skip that. They want to come and take a class. 90 days later, they want to make six figures. You did not have enough time to train your instincts. We need to train your instincts because the minute you step into that ring, there's no logic. You might think you know everything. Oh, I have my stop loss. Oh, I know I'm going to get out at 250. And then it goes to 50 and it keeps going. You're like, ooh, I said I was going to get out 250. Let me stay longer, right? No.
Right? It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It's kind of like, I like on the TV show Billions, which I'm still running behind on a few episodes, but
me too.
Like Bobby, he would say, it's like you should feel the same way when you make a good trade as you feel as when you make a bad trade. Like you feel nothing. Like when you can make a good trade and you feel nothing, then like your emotions are in check. Like you shouldn't get excited. It's like you just feel nothing. And then you feel bad. You make a bad trade, you feel nothing because it's part of it.
Right. I'll give you guys a book, Trading in the Zone by, I think, Michael Douglas, I think is his name. Don't quote me on that. Trading in the Zone is the name of it.
Okay, cool.
And he talks about that. He talks about everything that I talked about. But one thing that he said, which really, really shifted the way that I trade, is you treat your losses as business costs. Right? Because what happens is the beginner trader typically will treat your losses as a failure. I'm not good enough. Who do I think I am? I'm not worthy. I messed up. Right. And there's this shame and this guilt. But it's just a business cost. If you had an ice cream store and you need to buy cones,
it's the same idea.
It's the same idea. It's not like, oh, I had to buy cones. I'm so bad. I'm a horrible person. I'm a failure. No, you had to buy cones to make money, right? And so when I read that in the book, it shifted everything for me. And that's what I teach my students, right? Your losses are inevitable because you can't predict the market. And number two, when you do have your losses, you count them as business expenses. And so we know in order to be profitable in business, we have to make our revenue needs to be higher than our expenses. Very simple, right? And so, yes, you may have had your losses, but we want to minimize those losses. We already know they're going to happen. So we're going to get ready for them. And we're going to put a cap on how much we allow ourselves to lose, right? I'm not going to go and trade with $5,000 if I cannot afford to lose $5,000.
Right. I think, the interesting way that I think about it being a sports person by trade is like sports have rules and regulations that you follow, and general principles if you want to, or best practices, so to speak, like if you want to be the best of the best. And so like when you're entering the trading ring, so to speak, you want to be well trained mentally, physically, emotionally, to be in the ring, make the right trade, like make the right trades, make the right calls, and be okay, you know, failing or not having things go the way that you expect them to go. You know, even when you look at tennis sheets, stats, you know, the people who win those lose points.
Yeah.
They lose points when they go through that match. And so when I heard that, I was like, that's such an interesting concept and a mentality that you have to apply to this as well. And knowing the playing field, understanding the general principles, and practicing is what makes you get better over time, and really start to become a more successful professional. Like of course you're going to make mistakes. Of course you're going to have days that you lose things and your emotions get the best of you because you're obviously a human being. But getting that practice in and understanding those principles is kind of the key to success, and looking at it that way.
Yes, thank you. That was amazing. The way you put it. Thank you. I see why she's your better half. I get it.
Very wise.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm like, this isn't I almost take this as like learning myself, just because it's not my area of expertise. Like for those watching, my background is actually in change management. So I spent a majority of my career as a corporate consultant, helping brands like navigate change and implement change. And so I think a lot about what it would take for, number one, someone to change, and then how to make them successful once they're committed to the change, right? And so for me, I have actually always been really interested in investing. I went to a day trading class once. I don't know if it was day trading or swing trading or trading overall, but I remember going to one at a hotel near the Oakland airport. And I went all day, and this guy was talking about how he basically got into this really rough situation, learned how to trade, made his retirement money all back because he had to spend it and do all this stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really cool, but I'm so intimidated. Like, what do I do? You know? And so I've always been interested in it. And so it's fun to hear people who've taught themselves how to do it and what to think about when you're trying to get into it, because it is such a hot topic. So many people we talk to are like, I just need to make a little bit more money and then I'll have the lifestyle, quote unquote, lifestyle that I want. Or maybe I should trade, maybe I shouldn't. What should I do? Should I take this trading class? And I think a lot of people who, being in business, you know, you have to sell your products and services. And so you kind of overhype the benefits and underhype the downsides, you know. And so you want to find people you can trust and people who are going to be straight with you and actually teach you the game versus sell you the game. Two very different things, right?
Ooh,
so
I love that. Teach you the game instead of selling you. Yeah, because there's a lot of people selling the game out there. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm a business owner, so I'm not going to be a hater.
Yeah, no hate.
You know, that's how they make their money. And so I just choose to do it differently. I lead with legacy building, right? You're coming to me, we're building wealth. Trading is just a small little thing that I'll teach you if you even have the time or if you're even interested, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think this is like a perfect segue into the next question, which is like, what are the possibilities with trading? Right? What have you seen in your own experience with your clients? You know, if someone is really interested in getting started and learning it and are kind of like you, where it's like, I went to this class, I was so excited, I'm super, you know, I want to dive in. What would you say some of like the real possibilities are with it?
Yes. So, this is good. This is good. You can do, okay. So I've had clients who trade full time. I actually, for a very long time, when Haiti was doing good, I had a lot of clients that were living in Haiti.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to learn how to trade because it takes very little to be financially free in Haiti. If you can make anywhere from $3,500 to about $5,000 a month, you're living like a queen in Haiti. Like you'll have everything you need: a nanny, a maid, a chauffeur, you know, a personal chef, a garden guy. Like you will live like literally like a queen. And so because of that, it didn't really take that much for them to be free. So I've had a lot of my clients in Haiti become financially free in Haiti. Okay. I have to say, right? I'm not talking about making 20K a month type of thing, but this is possible where they were consistently until this day. I check on them every day. No, not every day, but every so often. I check on them to be able to see how you're doing, like how they're all doing, and they're still trading. So you can literally make a living off of trading when it's done right. And these clients in Haiti, their threshold is a little bit smaller. It's more around 35 to 5,000. That's all they really need, right? Although they will grow to much more than that. I cannot bring that same mentality here in the States, especially in South Florida, right? Yeah. And say you're going to be financially free making $3,500, right?
But the clients, and so with your clients that are in Haiti, how much would you say, just because I know everybody wants to know, how much does it cost to get started? How much would you say that, even to be generating 3,500 to 5,000, what size account might they need to do something like that?
Right. At the time when I was teaching my Haitian clients, my minimum to be in my program was $2,000. Okay. However, I noticed that the $2,000, especially with the busy professionals that I was attracting, they didn't have the time to really put in that horsepower to really push it. Right. So it would take too long for them to really get anywhere. So most of them were starting with about anywhere from 5 to 10K. And the goal was to get them to their first 25K, because technically to be a day trader, you need 25K in your account to technically be a day trader. Although I don't teach day trading. So I said, okay, let's get you to 25K. And most of my clients were able to reach from 5 to 10,000 to 25K and beyond within about 18 months. Okay. Cool. Now, obviously, there were clients that did it much faster. Okay. But, I don't like to give you the best. I'm going to give you in the middle. Like this is the low middle, actually. Yeah. Yes.
And when they're trading, are they trading options or?
A little bit of both. Although I just had a client this week, she made about $10,000 on Tesla, the actual stock itself. And there's also an inverse ETF that you can get. You could do inverse ETF or leverage ETF. So a leverage ETF is, how do I explain this? It's like an ETF, which is a basket of stocks, right? It's a managed fund, right? That follows the movement of a certain index or a certain stock. So for example, you can get a leverage ETF that follows Tesla if you cannot afford to buy like a whole share of Tesla, right? And so she was able to do a trade with a leverage ETF, and she was able to make 5 figures just the other day, right?
Oh wow!
So yeah, my clients. I've had another client. She was toggling around 4K for a little bit, and then she started working with me. She grew her portfolio to 140K. That took about 2 years. So I say to my clients, if you're starting with, let's say 10K, right? Because that's really what I would like to see. 10K, it's going to take you about 18 to 24 months to grow it to 6 figures if you follow my strategy. Now, this is not investment advice. This is not the guaranteed
education only
SEC stuff. It's just an example.
Yeah.
Just an example. Yes.
Cool. What was so there were a couple words in there that from a very beginner person that we hear all the time, but I'm curious to hear like an explanation from possibly both of you. What's the difference between an option and a stock?
Yeah. So an option, and this is funny.
Because you did a great job. The leverage ETF made sense to me. I mean, I understand ETFs are like multiple stocks of multiple companies, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means. Like, I kind of like hide behind the wall, like, what does that mean? Googling underneath my. So I would love to hear your explanation.
Yes, I'm glad you asked this, because it's after explaining this for years and years, I finally found a way to explain it where everybody gets it. So you caught me at a good time, because it took me years to get this explanation. So I tell my clients, right, an option, picture this phone, is a VIP ticket, right? So an option is a VIP ticket that allows you to name your price. You get to pay whatever you want for the stock. And so if I have this VIP ticket that allows me to buy Apple at whatever price I want, this VIP ticket has some value, right? And so as Apple goes up, it's going to become more valuable. Would you agree? Right.
Yes.
And so that's how you make money with options. Okay. You're buying the right to buy a stock at a certain price within a certain period of time. So this is your VIP ticket to name your price. Say, I don't want to pay $200 for Apple. I want to pay $100. You get to do that because you hold this ticket.
And so that is option trading.
Yes, that is option trading.
And do you do option trading inside of swing trading?
Yeah, so good. Okay. That's a good question. So swing trading is a concept, right? So I can trade options, I can trade stocks, I can trade cryptocurrency, I can trade futures, I can flip a house, right? All of that. And so no matter what the asset is, no matter what it is that I'm trading per se, I can always swing trade it. So to answer your question, yes, you can day trade options or you can swing trade options. Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
And I like how you said you have the ticket, and so that and you get to name your price. And so also in options, there's two things, which is puts and calls. And I had to remember this for a test. And so one thing I came up with, so it's like, so you can so if you're doing a call, that means that the stock is going up, and a put, that means it's going down. So how I remembered it is I say, when I call somebody, I'm going to call you up. So if I say I'm going to call you up, that means I'm going to call the stock up. But if I'm going to put it down, you put something down, that means the stock's going down. So so either I'm going to call you up or I'm going to put it down. So call means going up, put means going down.
I love that.
And so if I call you up, I'll put the receiver down, put it down.
Yes.
So you can name your option either way. So you can say, hey, that stock's going to go down. That means you're buying puts. Or you can say that stock's going up, so I'm buying calls.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Right. So, other people explain it in this way. It's a bet. You're using it. You're betting. You're betting. Is the stock going to go up or is the stock going to go down? So, like you said, I usually I tell my students, call up, put down. Call up, put down.
I have, even though I own Tesla for the legacy, so I own it for I own shares for the long term. Mm-hmm. But I was like, they were saying, I've heard, of course, like it's, they said Tesla is one of the most shorted stocks ever. So when you said your client made that money on Tesla, I was like, did she buy a put on it and it was going down? I don't know what they did this week at all. I haven't even looked at what they did, but I was wondering. I was like, were they up or down? And I'm like, I'm guessing if I had to bet, I'm guessing they went down and she made a run on it.
No. She actually, Tesla is going through a run right now. I
have not looked at Tesla at all this week. So I probably should log in and look. I'm like, good to know.
Yeah, that's the beauty of long-term investing, right? And that's why some of my students would tell me, Kat, why don't you teach day trading? You know how you said you haven't looked at Tesla? I love that. I don't want to look at my stocks every day. No, I'm not going to teach you how to do this.
Yeah, it's just like
when I first opened my brokerage, like my first brokerage account, this was, what year was this? 2019, I think it was. Mm-hmm. I had gotten a really good job. Had really low expenses, and I finally did a budget after many years of avoiding it, and was like, oh, I actually have money to invest. Like, can you help me? And I remember sitting down, and I would just be like, I picked a couple of companies that I felt like I liked and were stable, and I just started buying them every couple of weeks, and I wouldn't look at it ever because I wasn't really looking to make money in the short term. I was just looking to invest and learn and figure it out. And it was cool because all of a sudden my account's like at $5,000 and I haven't looked at it. And I would call to reset my password because I hadn't looked at it in so long in some cases. And they're like, roughly how much is in your account? And I'm like, I think this much. And and they were like, actually, it's up to like 6. So maybe keep up with it. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. But that's the beauty of it too, is like, if you know exactly how much you want to put in and you're automatically doing it and you're investing in companies that you feel like are quality companies I was taught too, to like, companies that you value as well, and you value what they're about and you value what they do, and just let it fly. So that's like the legacy piece, but it's always an interesting topic to learn. So this is so fun, and I realize we're at like 38-ish minutes. So I wanted to, and we talked a little bit about like how much someone would want to get started in trading. I have kind of two more questions for you. One is, if someone was looking to get into it, what would you recommend? How would you recommend starting, or starting to accumulate money in order to get started? Like, what would be your recommendation? And then I have one final question that I want to ask.
Yes, yes. I get asked this question a lot. So I'm glad you asked it, because it could demystify it for my audience as well. Right. So although, yes, Katiana would prefer her clients to have 10K, because I want to see you hit six figures, right? As soon as possible. That's what I want for you. However, you could literally start with $5, $10, right? You could start with however much money you want to start with. But here's the thing. Most people want to learn how to trade in order to make life-changing money. You want to be able to live in a different zip code, drive a different car, have a little bit more freedom, right? Travel a little bit more, maybe take your kids on a nice vacation, right? And so I always ask my students, start with your why, just like with any business. I know it sounds so redundant. I know, but you start with your why, because it becomes a compass for you. What is it that you want, right? Do you want to just, because I have some clients who just wants to dabble and just learn and play around with a little bit of money. Well, in this case, I don't want you playing around with 10K. At this point, $1,000 is enough to play around with, right? Whatever money you're comfortable losing. If everything goes wrong and you blow the account, right? Blowing the account meaning that it goes down to zero, right? And which can happen with trading if there's no proper risk management and all of that, right?
Right.
So then you could start with, I would start with $500, $600, $1,000 just to play around. But most people come to me because they want to live in a different zip code. They want to have more time freedom. And so they're typically looking to make an extra, at least $1,000 a month, right? That's what they're looking to do. Now, let's forget options for a second and just talk about the shares. If I were to get Apple right now and I wanted to trade Apple's at what, 220 or something? Last time I checked, right?
Something right around there. I got it right here. Yep.
Right. What is it, 224?
It is 232.
Oh, snap. Apple went that high today?
Yeah, you better trade. You better trade it. You better trade it right now and get that money.
Listen, Apple's in my long term. That's my road dog. I've been investing in Apple since I started in 2013, and I've seen Apple do some things, and so that's my baby. Not investment advice. Okay.
Right.
So let's say, right. So let's say you had a 2,000. Let's just make it easy math, right? Apple's let's say it's 200, right? Just easy math. If I have $2,000, how many shares of Apple can I get? What is that? 10 shares? 10 times 200? Yeah, that's 10 shares, right? So let's say I want to be able to make an extra $500. Well, I need Apple to go up $50 to be able to do that, right? I need Apple to go from 200 to 250. Okay, that's great. You just made $500. How long did it take for Apple to get to 2? Right. Did it take a month? If you needed that $500 this month, it's not happening, right? Did it take 3 months? Did it take 6 months, right? 6 months to make $500, I can make $500 doing much easier things, right? So at this point, in my eyes, it's not worth it. I would rather you have $20,000 so that you could get 100 shares and make $5,000 instead. You understand what I'm saying? And so all of that to say is, yes, I'd love, although my number is 10, but you want to have enough money to be able to get enough shares for it to make a difference. You don't want to just start with this amount because, oh, Kat said I could start with 2K. So let me just start with 2K. And then when you're making $20, $30 every time you trade, that's a little lackluster. All that studying and all that. It's like, I could make $20 doing something way easier, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So that's how I would answer that question. I hope it answered it.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I think it does demystify like the starting point. It's like, of course you can start with 10 to $5, $10 to $20. And if you're looking to make major gains, then probably not. If you're looking to learn and really get good, like we were talking about earlier, like if you're looking to practice and build your stamina and build your mental, emotional tolerance at that level, I think that's great. And could be a good segue into the big leagues, so to speak. You're like in the little leagues with that type of money, and then you kind of graduate as you put more in the bank. Okay, did you want to ask your question first?
Sure.
Because mine's like our favorite question.
Okay. So one question is that you mentioned one book, which I have right here, which was, you already know it off the top of your head, which was
Trading in the Zone.
Trading in the Zone.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, did you have any other reading recommendations?
Mm-hmm. As far as trading books,
Sure.
there's one. What is it called? Market Cycles. That one's pretty. As far as trading books, the thing is, I tell my students this all the time. Trading is like a sport, right? You can watch videos about soccer all day long, but
Right.
the way to become a good soccer player is to get out there on the field and get beat up. You know. And so the best book is Trading. Go trade.
Yeah.
But there's one with Market Cycles. That's more, I feel like that book is more for long-term understanding market cycles. I think it's called, hold on. Don't quote me on that. Hold on. Understanding Market Cycles. I think it's called that. But the only book, and I'll give you a bunch of, what's the name of this book? Okay, Mastering Market Cycles. Sorry, Mastering Market Cycles.
With Howard Marks.
Yes. Mastering Market Cycles. That's pretty good. But as far as like books that I give my students for trading is all mindset books. Like we're looking at money the psychology of money. One of my
love that book.
Oh my God. I have them read it over and over. I have them read You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. That's really, really good. Yes. And then for long-term investing, I have them listen to the complete, see, I don't know them by heart.
That's okay.
Something little guide to investing or something like that. I can't remember the name of the book, but yes. But as far as trading books, Trading in the Zone, that's my Bible right there. Like we study that book over and over and over. Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. That's awesome.
And then I feel like, and can you give a simple, this is just a quick thing. This isn't financial advice, but can you give us a simplified version? I feel like somebody watching this would be curious to know, like, I know you said that Apple is your baby, that, back in 2013. And of course, if you think about how Apple back then, with the iPhone and in 2013, but they're probably on iPhone 5 or 6 or whatever, and then what they've done over, everybody can look back and see what they've done over this last 10 years. So you can just see how their share price has exploded. But just here, can you drop maybe a high level non-financial advice of what you were looking at when you were looking to figure out, okay, if I want to day trade or if I want to swing trade and I'm looking for a company to identify to trade in, what might be something that I was looking for? Because obviously we're looking for some sort, we need that company to make a move in order to make some money. And so how did you identify, or what was maybe a way that you go about identifying a company that may make a move that you're like, okay, this looks like a good thing that I may want to trade?
Yes, this is a good one. Good question. Thank you for asking that. I tell my students, if I wouldn't have it in my core holdings, and when I say core holdings, I mean this is your legacy stocks, like you said. Okay, if it wouldn't be good enough to make it to my core holdings, I'm not trading it. Why? Because remember what we said earlier. Who controls the market? The big boys control the market, right? And they're not trading their own money. They're trading firemen pensions, teachers pensions. They're trading other people's money, and so on and so forth. So very, very few of them are going to go into the penny stock world or the meme stock world with the GameStops and the AMCs. Very few of them, because they've got a boss looking over their shoulders, right? It's a lot of pressure. So they're going to go after the solid companies. So I actually have my students look at the fundamentals, right? So you're looking at the cash flow statement, the balance sheet statement, and the income statement. You're looking at is this company overvalued, undervalued, before it even makes it to my watch list. Now, this is very different. I don't want to say advice, but this is very different guidance from what the rest of the world will tell you. There are stock scanners out there that will scan a stock that's moved a lot this morning, right? And people will go and trade it. They don't know anything about the stock. They don't know what the stock does. They don't know anything about the fundamentals. And that's when they get into a lot of trouble, because they don't really understand the stock. I don't use stock scanners. I have a set watch list. And these are solid big boys: Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Netflix, and also Google. I said Google already. Tesla, right? Also, too, in order for you to make money, the stock needs to move. You
Right.
can't have a stock like AT&T, which has been like going sideways forever, right? You
Right.
can't have a stock like Ford who hasn't moved in
Yeah, I
forever,
feel like that
right?
way
You're
about
not
like
going to make much
Coca-Cola. Like they're just like
Coca-Cola,
right.
exactly, right? So those dividend stocks that most people get for dividends, they're not really buying and selling them. They're holding on to them. So there's very little movement happening. So you're looking for a solid company with volatility. So yes.
As you're speaking about this,
Yes.
you're reminding me of a book that I got recently. I have only read the first part of it, but I've really enjoyed it so far. And it's called it's a Warren Buffett and the Interpretation of Financial Statements. So it's actually walks you through exactly how to read income statements and all this other stuff for like non-finance people like me. It's so user friendly. Like when I read it, I'm like, oh, that's what that means. It's like econ, or not econ. It's like my accounting classes, but dumbed down. And I've really enjoyed it. So I haven't finished it, but in terms of just like looking at companies, looking at their income statements, it's really helpful to even understand what that company is doing, why that company is a good company to invest in. So I wanted to bring that up because I found it really helpful in that sense, because that idea of examining income statements and all of that stuff really stresses me out. So, but it's like I'm a more business-minded person. So reading it, I'm looking at it from a business perspective, which helps me think about it from an investment perspective, which I like too. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I find that the best way to find companies that you really genuinely believe in, you understand, because all of those things play in with your emotions. You can fall back on that when you're feeling crap, I lost all this, or wow, I gained this, I need to do more. And it's like, okay, hold down. We've got the facts in our pocket. I'm more like that. But so just wanted to touch on that. Sorry to interrupt you if I did.
No, you're fine. Thank you for that. That's a gem. I'm going to take a look at the book, and it might be a good tool for my students. Thank you.
Super easy to read. Yeah. Again, I'm only like 60 pages in, but I've enjoyed it so far.
Okay. And you're not from this world. So if you're enjoying it, then that means it's good, because Gabe will tell you there's some books out there like
I've started several money books, and I've only finished one so far, and it's The Psychology of Money. So you mentioned that one. I thought that one was really interesting. I was really into a guy named Phil Town for a while, and he talks a lot about Warren Buffett and investing and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I come from, but I'm always checking myself like, hey, is this the way to think about it? Am I getting sucked into the Instagram world or the financial gurus? So if you ever have any questions about trading or any financial planning questions, feel free to DM Katiana on Instagram, Facebook, DM us on Steadyworth, and we will check it for you. We will fact check it for you from an educational perspective only, of course. My last final question, and we usually just ask this really broadly, but we talked about so many things today. When it comes to trading and teaching people how to trade, like, is there anything that we didn't ask that you feel like, and so you didn't get a chance to say something that you maybe would have said or would give advice somehow? Like, is there anything we didn't cover that you feel like you need to say now? Hopefully that was a good way of asking the question.
This is good. I love your questions. Well, I guess I kind of said this already, but I definitely want to hone this in. you notice how when you asked me about a book on trading, now, if you asked me about books on investing or money mindset, I would have had a list for you, right? But notice how I said I don't really have any books for trading, because you got to go out there on the field, right?
Yeah.
And so
Right.
I really want to hone in on that, because a lot of my students, they get really scared to use their real money or to go out there and actually get into a trade. And they ask me all the intricate questions. Kat, would you get in here? Would you get in there? Would you say that the line is here? Would you say that the candle looks like this? And they want to figure out every little detail, because they want to be right, right? Here's the thing about trading. There is no right or wrong, because the market's going to do what it wants to do. What determines if you're right or if you're wrong is, did you make money or did you lose money? That's it, right? And so there are millions of strategies for trading, okay?
Right.
And guess what? They all work. All of them work, okay? But you want to find the one that works for you. There are 1,000,001 ways to make rice and beans, okay? We're in South Florida. You understand rice and beans, okay? There's the Puerto Rican way, the Cuban way, the Haitian way, the Jamaican way, but it's all rice and beans, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
That's right.
right? But there's different flavors. Even the Haitian rice and beans, the way I make it is different from my mom, which is different from grandma. So all of that to say is, I would tell the audience, if you decide to get into this trading world, if you decide that you want to walk this journey, right? The details don't matter. Okay. What you want to do is get some reps in, go into the ring, go into that battle and trade. And as you're trading, you will develop your own rhythm, your own sauce, right?
Absolutely,
and stick to that. Trust yourself. If I'm doing this strategy and I've done it for 10 trades in a row, and out of those 10 trades, 7 of them were winners, there's nothing wrong with your strategy. Tune out all the other gurus. Don't listen to anybody else. Keep doing that.
Find your lane.
Yes. And that's one of the, yes.
Love it.
Yeah. Yes.
I love it. This has been such a fun conversation, educational yet again. I feel like we could probably go on and on and on and on. But thank you so much for having this with us. It was great to meet you I don't even know how long ago it was now.
I think it's been a month, because
because it was at the last last event, and now the event just was a month ago today, because I think it's every second Wednesday.
Yes.
So Fast Friends. Hopefully we can do another one soon after we've read each other's book recommendations. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to ordering check this book out.
Yes. Another one I forgot to mention, these are more mindset. So I think, Laura, you're going to love You're a Badass at Making Money. It's by Jen.
I'm writing that one down right now.
Yeah. It's got a lime green cover. You can't miss it. Okay. The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That one is really good as well. And believe it or not, this one is not a money book at all, but it's so powerful. The Mountain is You. It's about self-sabotage, because a lot of that happens in trading. Self-sabotaging happens a lot.
Yeah.
And so The Mountain is You. That one I have my students read, and it helps. It helps them.
That is awesome. I love it. Yes, we love good books. You can't tell right now, but all this used to have more books on it. We have a whole bookcase over here. We have a whole bookcase over here. So we're big readers, and we love to learn. So this was so fun. So if our watchers really enjoyed your conversation, where can they find you on Instagram, your website? How can they get in contact with you? And then we'll end there.
Yes. So everywhere on social media, you will find me. I have my name right here, Katiana Carre, literally everywhere. LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. You just put it on Google and you'll see everything.
Awesome.
So I made it easy for everyone. Or you could put Sawa as well. You'll find everything, but you'll find more under my name. Yeah.
Awesome. And you do coaching programs and you help people with this. So if people are interested, they can reach out to you directly via Instagram, your website, LinkedIn, etc. Correct?
Absolutely. Yes. Cool. I help with overall wealth building, and then trading education is a I wouldn't say a
It's
supplement, but it's an
bonus.
aspect of what I help with. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so fellow financial educator, wealth builder,
Masters in finance.
masters in
Put some
finance.
respect on that name.
Listen, CFP, put some
Yes,
respect
put some
on you
respect
guys.
on that
I
name.
mean, I'm broadcasting this to my audience, but I want to be the host this time around and
Yeah,
ask you
totally.
questions. Yeah.
Totally awesome. Well, it was so great chatting
Yes,
with you.
it was. I truly
we really
enjoyed it.
and we'll have to do it again soon.
Yes.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.
Bye,
Yes.
everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone. Oh, wait, when you end it, it ends on mine too, right?